at our 116th annual meeting. At this time, I'd like to introduce Rabbi Jeffrey Stiffman from Congregation Sheremuth, who's going to give us an invocation before tonight's meeting. Rabbi?
We join together and say Makor Chayim. At this time of discord, bigotry, and hatred in our world, we are grateful for the privilege of coming together to share our unity as a community. We are thankful for your servants who day by day oversee the work of our Jewish Federation. We salute the thousands who volunteer their time to raise the funds and carry out the life-saving and life-enriching activities of our Federation and its agencies. We join together in our love of America and pray that we Jews may be part of the healing that must come soon. We pray for the state of Israel, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, that it might be both secure and a beacon of tolerance and peace. Strengthen us as we join hands to thank those who are to be honored, those who assume new roles of leadership, and all who seek to better our world through our common activities. We praise you, our God, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this historic moment, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Stiffman, for your very meaningful words tonight. We do have several dignitaries in the room. I'd like to take a moment to recognize them. We have Ambassador Sam and Marilyn Fox, Mrs. Marilyn Fox over there. Thank you. Standing in the doorway, we have State Senator Jill Shoup. Somewhere, and I don't know where, we have Teresa Ruzicka, who is CEO of Catholic Charities. Teresa, are you? Okay. And Barbara Frazier, who's here representing County Supervisor, County Executive Steve Stanger. Barbara, there she is. Thank you all for being here. Well, once again, good evening. It's hard to believe that it has been 2 years since I had the honor of being elected as board chair of this amazing organization. For these last few minutes I have with you as your board chair, I want to look back and reflect upon what we as a community have accomplished. I had two very specific goals when my term began. First, I wanted to continue the work that our board has been undertaking for the last 4 years to strengthen Federation's work as a community development organization, bringing our community together. Second, I believe while community development is the path to our collective successes, we cannot lose sight of the importance of the Federation's work to develop financial resources for the community. Both building the community and fundraising have been critically important to me and have been priorities over the last 2 years. There are a number of key achievements in the area of community development that I think we should be proud of, starting with a move of our annual meeting to create a sense of innovation and dynamic community. 2 years ago, that began with the Olive Grove in Grand Center. Last year, of course, we were at Busch Stadium. And now at the Magic House, where coincidentally I happened to serve as board chair a few years ago. I had nothing to do with the planning, but I'm happy we're here. These meetings create a tangible sense of community, foster a shared sense of purpose, and bring us face to face with each other from all across the spectrum, including space for all Jewish organizations to share a bit about themselves with the community. Building a vibrant community has also been seen in other areas of Federation. Perhaps the most exceptional growth over the last 2 years is in the area of women's philanthropy. In the last 2 years, following the leadership of Sherry Schumann and Vicki Singer, Michelle Rubin has led a dynamic group of women to create truly signature events and moments that have mobilized our community. First among these is the establishment of the November L'Chaim event, a truly must-attend evening that this year will feature Nancy Spielberg, who may be most recognized by her famous brother Stephen, but whose own work as a documentary filmmaker will inspire all of us. With other events to serve, educate, and inspire, including a new partnership with the Jewish Women's Renaissance Project for an annual women's trip, women's philanthropy has made enormous strides and helped to define our success of the last 2 years. Israel has been at the center of the development of our community during these last 2 years. First, we planned and organized our first community-wide trip in over 2 decades. Madeline and I were among the couples that joined the group. It was certainly not our first trip, but it was so much better to be running in and out of kitchens and restaurants, celebrating the amazing foodie culture that exists in Israel, than to be running in and out of bomb shelters as we did the last time we visited, standing in solidarity with Israel during the awful Gaza war of 2014. In the last 2 years, we have also continued to support our own mission as we seek to build relationships and strengthen our region. And so Federation supported and lobbied for the state of Missouri to establish an Israel trade desk, traveling with the governor in March of 2016 to formally open it. We continue to offer support to the regional initiatives led by Don Rubin, a soon-to-be elected Federation director, and his organization BioSTL, along with others, to actively recruit Israeli businesses expanding into North America to come to Missouri. In most communities, education is critical, but in a Jewish community, it is essential. Over the last 2 years, we saw the finalization of the CAGE integration with the Jewish Federation, and with it, the significant advancement of core programs of the newly formed Center for Jewish Learning. The Shema Speaker Series has now attracted thousands of individuals into our congregations and other Jewish organizations to hear from key thought leaders about Jewish topics, and particularly about Israel education from all perspectives. And it was during the last 2 years that we brought the memorable visit of Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sacks to town in a partnership with the JCC and Washington University's Danforth Center on Religion and Politics. It was a moving evening and an important educational moment for our community. Finally, community building takes infrastructure. And over the last 2 years, I have perhaps been most proud of our organization's support of the completion of Covenant Place Phase 1, and just last week, the groundbreaking for Covenant Place Phase 2. These facilities will provide low-income housing support to hundreds of residents and requires the collaboration of multiple parties, including government, expert leadership, and donors. In fact, I would like to take a moment to publicly thank the lead donor family for whom Covenant Place Phase 2 will be named, the Kahn family, and Paul and Alyssa Kahn, who are here with us tonight. Paul and Alyssa, I don't know where you are. Somewhere. Thank you so much for your generosity. And it was over the last 2 years that our building committee, led by Michael Steinberg, devised a plan that created a vision for a significant renovation of the 35-year-old Kapolo building. In addition to making a significant investment of $1 million through the Steinberg Family Foundation, we thank you for that. Michael's vision has helped craft a building that will meet the needs for a new generation of community gatherings with more light, a more welcome entryway, and updated security throughout. The Federation Complex will be named for a currently anonymous lead donor, kind of a tough way to take, a donor who chooses to remain anonymous at the moment, but there will be a ceremony in mid-October where we will recognize the donor, and I hope you will all join us. The work of building community cannot happen, though, without resources. And here, during the last 2 years, we have continued to build on Federation's role as a critical developer of financial resources throughout the community. We were critically important as a partner to Covenant Place and intend to continue in that role. And as important, our annual campaign continued to grow 2 years in a row. And with your help, we are hopeful and very optimistic that the 2017 annual campaign will surpass 2016. The community-focused approach we are taking appears to be resonating throughout our region. Of course, community building and fund development were the 2 main goals I had when beginning this work. But very soon after I started, a third issue interrupted and caused us to add it to the mix: community security. Consider that since the beginning of 2016, we have had 8 separate security incidents, some of them public, including bomb threats and February's cemetery desecration, and others not public. The rise in anti-Semitic hate speech, and then in Charlottesville, anti-Semitic action, over this period has led to an unprecedented run. We are living in uncertain times, and it was clear to me this had to be a priority. So Federation acted. We have continued to invest in a communication system for the community. We've hired a grant writer to help secure over $375,000 in federal grant money to keep our organization safe. And just last month, we approved the hiring of Scott Biondo, who will serve as a community security coordinator. Like all of our direct services at Federation, we measure our success by how we serve the community. If you are part of a synagogue, school, or Jewish organization of any kind, please make sure your leadership reaches out to Scott for a free consultation and training to make sure you are prepared for the worst. And now, as I prepare to take my leave from this role, I must say I have a sense of great feelings of optimism and vibrancy about our community among everyone I speak to, not just at the Federation, but throughout the community. There is a growing feeling that only by partnership and collaboration is a community the size of ours likely to remain strong. And a feeling that only by working together that we can do better than we could on our own. All we have accomplished has been through the efforts of many, including our officers, beginning with our past board chair, Patty Krogan, and our vice chairs, Sue Schlichter, Jerry Greiman, Tim Stern, David Kaslow, Mark Zarensky, and Ken Kranzberg. Thanks for your support and work, many, many hours over the last 2 years. I also want to thank all those who served on our board and the hundreds of volunteers who give their time and provide financial support and expect nothing back except making our Jewish community better. The truly heavy lifting, of course, is done by the professionals of the Jewish Federation. I want to recognize our brilliant and dedicated CEO, Andrew Rayfeld, and his executive team, Stephen Cohen, Don Hannon, Mike Oberlander, and Nancy Tully. I wish I could call out each individual who calls the Jewish Federation their work home, but I cannot. However, these are amazingly dedicated people, and I want to offer my thanks for your efforts, and I'd like to give them a hand as well. I cannot believe how quickly the last 2 years have passed. It feels like it was only yesterday when we were at the Olive Grove. In some ways, we are further ahead than where we had hoped. In other ways, we still have a long way to go. But I have to say that after the last 2 years, I believe we are a stronger community, a better community, and a community poised for success. This was a personal journey for me, a chance to give back and contribute to the community, apart from my most important family and professional decisions. It was the most important event of my life. Almost daily, I learned something about our community, Israel, and Jewish people around the world. I met new and interesting people, and I attended events that were required by the job, but I left each one with a better understanding of our Jewish community. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to serve. I've enjoyed every moment. Before I close, I must thank the truly special person in my life who supports me, makes me wiser and a better man, my wife, Madeline Elkins. She also attended too many events to count and never ever questioned the many nights when meetings would bring me home at 9 o'clock or later. Thanks, honey, I love you. As for me, well, I'm not going anywhere, for I have the pleasure now of taking on the most coveted title in nonprofit leadership, immediate past board chair. Thank you very much. And now I would like to present some very special awards. Volunteer Leadership